This isn't bragging. This is just like I piped it. I got a good kick
and
forward.
I totally believe you.
And I have a 7-iron into this par 5. I'm like, I am licking my chops. I am gonna bring this course to its knees.
You're like, my good score is now going to become phenomenal.
Exactly right. And guess what I do right from there? I block it right into the biggest ditch of trees that I've ever found. I find it in
no
there.
trees at Southern Dunes.
Yes. So, I mean, just big, deep, like gully on the right side. I find it. I blade that over the green. I chunk that next to the green. I get it onto the green. I 3-putt. And then I proceed to double the next 2 holes. And then what did I do? I didn't stick with my original goal to stay in the process. I'm thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to shoot so well. And what happened? I put my foot straight into my mouth and I just threw up all over myself, figuratively.
Well, hello and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori and I am your host. And today, releasing this episode and recording this episode that you're about to listen to, I feel like I'm back in my flow. I feel like I'm back in the zone. Momentum is going with the podcast again. There was nothing like having Justin Klambala back on the show. He is the best. And as always, Justin's energy, Justin's passion, it's just contagious for golf. And after talking to him for just about 45 minutes, I feel so much better. And I'm confident that his energy, his happiness, his passion for golf resonates through audio. Like, I know you guys feel it too. And that's why I have him on the podcast regularly and why I'm having him at Desert Classic next year and why I just continue to have Justin Klambala as a mentor, the best golf instructor I know in my life and my business. So I'm excited to bring Justin back on the show. Honestly, I booked this episode, this recording with him without even knowing what we were going to talk about. But when he got into the studio and we started brainstorming about what to talk about, I was like, I had to tell him, okay, wait, stop. Don't tell me the whole story yet. I want to hear it on the episode because he tells us about how he fulfilled his New Year's resolution with golf. And I'm not sure if you remember what his New Year's resolution was with golf, but he totally fulfilled it. And he tells us the story about it and how much he learned from doing it. And in turn, I know that you will learn from it too. So I'm going to put that episode where we talk about New Year's resolutions, which I'm sure was the episode right at the beginning of the year, which I think was actually episode 100. I'm pretty sure our New Year's resolution episode was episode 100. So you can check that out where he first initially talks about it. And I might put it in this episode regardless when I go to edit it. But I'm excited for you to hear the story. So without further ado, let's get into the episode with my favorite golf instructor, Justin Klambala.
Next up on the number 1 tee.
He's back, folks. Justin Klambala is in the studio.
I am so excited.
It's been way too long.
It has.
It must have been April, maybe May, but it's been too long.
Actually, I think the last time I was on this podcast was like the beginning of the year with Alex and
Tamika.
Yeah. And we were talking about like New Year's resolutions and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. I did not accomplish my New Year's resolution.
Remind me again, what was yours?
I don't know. Maybe we'll go back.
That's an easy way to
get the footage. I'm sure it was something along the lines of like, because I do have a goal of winning like the state mid-am, you know, so that's like an ongoing goal. So I could have said that, but I have no recollection.
Right.
But what's funny is that I do remember yours. Do you want to remind everyone?
Yes. And my 2024 goal was to play like in an official golf tournament.
Justin, what do you have for 2024?
Well, it's right along the same lines. I haven't played in a competitive tournament since the year of 2009 on my own. And my goal for 2024 is I'm going to actually enter some tournaments sometime in 2024. And I'm going to try to compete again. Playing well in that high intense situation kind of said like, why not? Why shouldn't I play in a tournament? And why shouldn't I go for it?
Not?
Yeah. So.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with this.
Yes.
I think Ashley's slightly obsessed with it too. This is exciting.
Yeah.
So I gotta imagine you did like a little soft Google search or something, or a tournament that you might have in mind.
Yeah, I think a lot of so I'm a part of the PGA Southwest section. There's tournaments that are going on all the time, and they're usually in the summertime. Summertime's usually the big time to play in tournaments. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to research a tournament sometime this summer, and I'm in Flagstaff typically, so I'll probably just drive down for this one day, and I'm going to go play in the tournament and see how it goes.
Oh my God, I love this. Yes. And you know, if you're new to the podcast, Justin, tell us what you do for a living.
Absolutely, yeah.
What's your day job?
My day job is I'm a director of golf instruction at Paradise Valley Country Club here in the Valley in Scottsdale. And then in the summertime, I'm at a private club up in Flagstaff called Forest Highlands, where I'm the director of instruction there. And I'm going on my 10th season at PV, coming up on a decade at PV. Yeah. And I'm finishing up my 8th summer at Forest Highlands. Very lucky. I knock on wood every single time I get a chance. I mean, 2 of the best clubs I could have ever been a part of in my career. I'm so lucky to be at both of them. They're just amazing places, and I get to follow the good weather around, so when it gets really hot here in Scottsdale, I go to cooler weather and
to Forest Highlands.
Very lucky.
So great. And Justin's a top 100 instructor in Golf Digest. He's got all those accolades.
All that stuff,
but he also, because he's at 2 private clubs, you can't just like go get a lesson with him. It's really lame. I know. But he has a YouTube channel that you have tons of videos on that are super helpful.
And Instagram.
On Instagram too.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how I met Justin. Our friend Taylor from years ago goes, you got to go meet Justin. He's doing these YouTube videos.
Taylor
you guys
Koba.
would totally vibe together. And he was right.
I totally remember that. And I remember our first lesson. You came up and you did a lesson with me, and I had admired you for a while. I was already like Facebook stalking you then, and you were just like crushing it in the golf world. And like, I was just like, how do you do what you do? And I still remember this. You like stared me right in the eyes and you were like, what are your goals? I'm like, I wasn't prepared. I don't know yet. But you got like uber serious. You're like, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? I'm like, I don't know, but I need to figure that out.
I don't know, but I want to do something. I just don't know yet.
Exactly right.
Oh my God. And here we are.
But one of those is to play in a tournament. And I did that in 2024.
I know. Here we are. I mean, that had to have been 8 years ago, maybe even more, that we had that first lesson on the range at Forest Highlands. And now we're still talking about goals.
Yes.
And you accomplished yours. I'm still working on mine. So tell us what your New Year's resolution was.
Well, the easy thing about my goal, it was just more of a participation prize. I didn't really have to win anything. You got bigger goals for sure about actually like achieving like victory. I just wanted to participate, because it had been almost 15 years that I had played in a tournament, which is ironic because I teach people and try to encourage people to go and like push themselves outside of that comfort zone, go and actually like just go and participate in something that feels a little uncomfortable. And here I am being the biggest hypocrite of all time. Like, I'm an instructor. I can't go play because if I score really poorly, people are going to know. And then they're never going to take lessons from me ever again. Like all these demons that are absolutely not true.
They're not true, but we all think of like anyone in the golf industry. I don't care if you're just the director of golf or an instructor or you work on influencer of some sort. We all think the same thing. Like if I go out there and shoot a load, and everyone's going to know, and everyone's, be like, why should we listen to them?
Yeah. And it could be like a topic on its own because like golf pros in general are just very nervous about it. They're more nervous than amateurs, right? Because there's a bit more of an expectation to play well, right? If you're an amateur golfer, like no one's expecting you to play well, right? So if you don't play well, it's like no one was really caring anyways, right? But as a golf pro, it's like, this guy gives me lessons. I can't wait to see what he shoots, right? And then
that's my guy up there.
That's my guy. Wait, did he just shoot an 83? Oh my God.
Do I have the Golf Genius link correct? Is this really working?
So I went and played in my first tournament. It was a Southwest Section event, and it clicked all the things that I wanted. It was a golf course I had never played. It was Southern Dunes in Maricopa, and I had always heard great things about this golf course. Okay, and then it was during my paternity leave. It was right at the end of my paternity leave, right before I was going to go up to Forest Highlands. So I asked my wife, who was like angel as she is, and she allowed me to go play in this two-day tournament. And then it was easy for me to take off work because it was during the paternity leave. So it was playing a course that I had always wanted to play. It was during the paternity leave, so I was easy to take off time to go play in the tournament. And I went down. But you know, it was so cool because one of my goals, and this is so important too when you're playing, I think your goals should be more process goals. I think it's good to put it out into the universe to go and like win a tournament. I think it's awesome to just say like, I think I'm capable of that. Like, that's awesome to set like a stretch goal of like, I can like actually, I think I can do that.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
But then like actually accomplishing that goal is really kind of then zeroing in on the process goals, like really, really getting good at the process goals. Because if you're only just focused on like, oh, I need to win this tournament, anytime that you play poorly, you're like, oh, I'm so much farther from reaching that goal.
You're going to quit.
Yeah, exactly
if
right.
That's your only goal.
Yeah. It's like if your goal was to like lose 50 pounds, right? Yeah. Every time that you get on the, like, great, know that you're capable of losing 50 pounds. But if you get on the scale tomorrow and you've only lost 1 pound, be like, oh my God, I have 49 more to go. Keeping your focus too much on that outcome goal, I think can get discouraging, right?
Agreed.
So, so then just doing the process goals. So my process goal going into this was to try my best to just stay in the moment as much as I possibly can. Just try to hit one shot at a time, try to hit that great as I possibly could. Because being in that positive mindset to hit this great shot as best as I could and not keep track of score at all. That was like a really big goal for me, was to just hit the shot and then just like write down my score for the hole, but not know like, oh, I'm 2 over par, I'm 3 over par, oh, this is for birdie. I didn't really want to know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to just stay in the moment, right? Because if I can control the moment, I'm stacking the odds in my favor that I'll play well. It doesn't guarantee it, but it stacks the odds in my favor. So there's a moment in this tournament, I get to around like, actually, it was funny. I was actually on hole 16, but I'm playing on this hole because I'd never played the course before. So I don't really know what holes are which.
Is that the par 5?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. With the hazard on the right and everything like that. So I get to this hole and I'm like, I don't know how many holes left we have. I don't even know where I am right now. Like I was so in the moment. Like I didn't know at all what I was scoring. I had no idea even what hole I was on because I was just so in the moment. And I considered that like such a humongous victory, right? Like that I was able to just be in the moment and not care what I was shooting that day, how many holes I had left. Because that's what our brain does when we're playing golf. We start wandering and thinking about all these other things that A, doesn't really matter, and B, we don't even have control over, because score we don't really have control over. We really don't. Yeah. So that was like a process goal that I really, really wanted to like control, right? So it was a 2-day tournament. First day, I didn't shoot great. I shot 83. I already kind of prefaced that earlier. So I shot 83 the first day. So I'm like in the middle of the pack. And then the next day I'm playing, the second day, I'm actually playing pretty good. And I'm like, oh man, I'm tracking to play great. And all of a sudden I start thinking about, I'm actually playing good. I could actually post a really good score today. What did I do? I backed up on my original goal and start thinking about what I'm going to shoot. And on this same par 5, bombed a drive. I mean, close to 350 yards. This isn't bragging. This is just like I piped it. I got a good kick forward.
I totally believe you.
And I have a 7-iron into this par 5. I'm like, I am licking my chops. I am going to bring this course to its knees.
You're like, my good score is now going to become phenomenal.
Exactly right. And guess what I do right from there? I block it right into the biggest ditch of trees that I've ever found. I find it in there.
There's no trees at Southern Dunes.
Yes. So, I mean, just big, deep, like gully on the right side. I find it. I blade that over the green. I chunk that next to the green. I get it onto the green. I 3-putt. And then I proceed to double the next 2 holes. And then what did I do? I didn't stick with my original goal to stay in the process. I'm thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to shoot so well. And what happened? I put my foot straight into my mouth and I just threw up all over myself figuratively.
Southern Dunes. She's a teaser.
And she's a tough course. I really enjoyed my round out there. I really it's a good golf course.
Yeah. So the only complaint about Southern Dunes that you'll hear is that you can smell the manure smell from farms that are nearby. But that's not all the time. It's just like on a breezy day.
Sure.
But that course really fits my eye.
Yeah.
Like every hole I get up to, I'm like, oh, that's where I hit it. Like, and it just feels comfortable there.
Yeah.
Like that's a course that really feels good to me.
And you know what's so funny about all the public courses in Scottsdale? I find that all of them are so much on the outskirts of town because you know what makes a golf course a great golf course, in my opinion? No houses on it, right?
Yes.
So when they're really out in the middle of nowhere, no one wants to live there, right?
Yeah.
So there's no houses. I mean, somebody built the course hoping somebody would live around it, but they just didn't.
They haven't gotten there yet.
So Southern Dunes, way south. Quintero, super northwest, right? Dinosaur Mountain, Gold Canyon. I don't know if you ever played that. Super East Mesa. But it's like you play these or Weekapaw, super northeast, right? You know, you play these courses and it's just like, it's such a breath of fresh air especially when it comes to Scottsdale, because it's nerve wracking when you're teeing off on a tee shot and you have people's houses and, you know, Grandma Betty on her back porch sipping a tea. And then all of a sudden this ball just comes shining through.
Hello. Oh my God. Well, I had a similar experience there. Southern Dunes is the course where I probably played two of my best rounds I consider of my life. It was in competition. It was at the State Mid-Am, and first day went great, very steady, felt easy.
Yeah.
And I was in the lead going into day two, and it was like I held the lead. At times I was tied for the lead, but for the most part, like I felt in control, and I was getting up and down, and I was striking the ball well, and it just was like, again, I was seeing it and I was doing it. And then I get to the 18th hole, and I'm tied for the lead. And I did the exact same thing you did, Justin. Like, it was like all of a sudden I came to a screeching halt and was like, well, now what? I thought to myself, I said, even if you got second place, that's really good.
And this is going through your head on the 18th hole while you're playing. While you're playing, if I get second place, you're already at the award ceremony before you've even teed off on 18, right?
Yeah. So, because 18 is a tough hole too. It's a tough tee shot.
Water on the right, bunker on the left.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, water on the right near the green.
Yeah.
It's a hard finishing hole.
Tee shot. So, of course, I screw the hole up completely. It turned into a triple for me.
Right.
And what's even worse is the player I was tied going into the hole with got a double. Like, it was brutal. But I remember standing on that tee box like it was yesterday, and just all of a sudden, these thoughts.
You had a triple and they had a double?
Yeah. And we were tied for the lead. And we were both playing phenomenally. It wasn't like we were going to win with a, 85. Like, we were both like one over.
And you know what's so funny? And this is a great lesson too. I can almost guarantee she's thinking the same exact stuff that you are, right? She just played slightly less worse, right?
Yes.
And that's all that was. Double's but not how you want to finish the round, and neither's triple. She just beat it out by one stroke, right?
Totally.
But she's probably like, oh my God, what if I come in second? You both are probably thinking the same exact thing as you're teeing off, right?
When we're just going with the flow, we're in the zone for 17 holes, and then it's just like you lose focus.
Yeah. So, and I give this tip to a lot of students. Almost everybody who plays golf, after they play the front nine, they add up their score just to see how they do. Knowing what you're scoring, knowing where you're standing gives you zero benefit, zero. And that's a perfect story to kind of explain it. Like, some people, well, I want to know how close I am to the lead. What is it going to change? Are you going to do a little more better? That's why it's like, if you come back and just do the best you possibly can on every single shot, that's the best we can do. That's all we can do, right? Yeah. No matter where we are in the tournament, all I can do is hit that shot as great as I possibly can. And if I'm just in the moment, just trying to hit that shot as great as I can and not thinking like, oh, this could win the tournament, because all of a sudden it puts more pressure on that shot, right? So we want to avoid that pressure. We've actually mentioned this book before on this podcast called Lanny Basham, The Winning in Mind. And I remember a story when he was like winning some like Olympic shooting thing. He actually walked to the parking lot to put his gun away and was going to leave and he had won the tournament. Like he was supposed to go to the podium and get his trophy, but he was so in the moment. Like he finished all his shots and then he's like, oh, now it's time to go home. Like he didn't even think about like winning the tournament. He was just so in the zone that someone had to like stop him in the parking lot and say, dude, you won. Come over here. And you're like, oh, I totally forgot. Like I was even playing for something. I was just in the zone to shoot targets or whatever like that. So it's a great just lesson that like all we can control is just trying to stay in that moment. It's hard to do, especially when you have a goal to win a tournament and you want to win that tournament. It's hard to do.
Yeah. And can you imagine the pro players where their goal is to do the same thing, like just play the next shot, stay in the moment, and you see leaderboards all over the place, like
totally.
Like they try to avoid them, but it's almost unavoidable.
Yeah, it's very hard to know to stay in the moment, you know. And but a lot of the best talk about it. And Scotty Scheffler, I think it was the Saturday before he won the Masters. Somebody asked him, he said, like, "What do you think you have to shoot tomorrow to win, to put on a second green jacket?" And I love all of his answers to everything that he does. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm just going to go out and try to hit great shots. And I literally took that quote into my strategy to play in this tournament because I just loved it. I'm just going to go out and hit great shots. What else can I do other than just hit great shots? I don't know what I'm going to shoot. Exactly. How do I know what do I have to shoot to win tomorrow? I have no idea. All I can control is just trying to hit great shots. And if I do that, I'm stacking the odds in my favor that I'll do my best. Yeah. And if my best beats everybody else that day, well, then I win. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So
what'd you take out of it? You know, your second round's done, you're heading home.
Yeah.
What are you thinking to yourself?
I mean, that nobody cares that I shot an 83.
No,
nobody
I actually had no idea. And I would have been watching.
Yeah. I shot 2 back-to-back 83s. I was like back of the pack, you know, but it's my first tournament back. Yeah. Like, who cares? And actually, I loved that I shot 83. I loved that I was out there and I was able to like put a score out there. But that's not my label. That like, I'm not labeled by my score, right? I'm labeled by trying, right? Like I'm labeled like, do I go out there and actually try? And that's all we can do at the end of the day. That's what you should be judged on, not the outcome, right? You're going to be judged on your effort level and your attitude level, right? So that's what I took away from it. It's just that like, it doesn't really matter what you shoot. It just matters the process that you go into actually doing it. I have one other tournament, quick story here. Yeah. I went into another tournament at Forest Highlands. There's 2 tournaments at Forest Highlands that I care about the most to play well in. Okay. One is called the Denise Martinez Pro-Am. And it's where I play with a bunch of members. And then I play in this thing called the Tin Cup, which a bunch of the pros play against each other for some money. And they were about a month apart. One was on July 8th. The other one was on August 5th. July 8th, I played in the Denise Martinez. And once again, shot 83. I don't know what it is about 83, but I shoot 83 a lot. So I shoot 83, not proud of it. That score was just not my greatest. Even the guys like playing with me, they're like, oh, you never get to practice. You know, it's okay. You know, they're like,
yeah, you know, but it's like your home course. So
but it's my home course. And I'm playing with my students. I want to play well for them. But do they care that I shot 83? No. They took a lesson from me the next week, right? So like, they don't care. But I shot 83. And people see that 83 and they're just like, you know, like it's not that great, right? You're a pro, you should be shooting in the 70s. That's like the expectation at least. But I look back at my round and I really look at it and I'm like, holy smokes, 13 holes, I played unbelievably great. And on these 13 holes, I was 1 under par. And then there were 5 holes I played bad. Now, most people come off that tournament and they think, if I could get rid of whatever happened on those 5 holes, I will play better in the next tournament. So I'm going to try to figure out what did I do on those 5 holes? Like, what did I do with my swing? You know, did my swing get off kilter? Is my swing not consistent enough? What do I need to practice so those 5 holes don't happen again? That's one strategy. I decided to flip the script. From July 8th all the way to August 5th, I replayed the Denise Martinez round over and over and over in my head, but I only played the 13 holes. So hole 1, stripe to drive, second shot onto the green, 2-putt par, boom. Yeah. Second hole, stripe to drive, knocked it onto the green, made the putt, birdie, boom. Third hole, bad hole, skip. 4, stripe to drive. You know what I mean? So third hole, bad hole, right? Like, why do I want to replay that in my head? I don't want to remember that. I don't want that to be a part of my future, right? I want the 13 holes. So when I go play in the Tin Cup on August 5th, I want the 13 holes to show up. I don't want the 5 holes to show up. I want the 13 holes to show up. So what do I want to put the most of my attention on? And now all your listeners, you know, everyone listening to this, think back to your last round. And even if it was only 2 holes that you played great and the other 16 are bad, right? replay those 2 holes over and over and over your head. Put your head on your pillow at night and just keep replaying those holes over and over again. The next time you play, I can almost guarantee you will have at least 3 great holes. You replay those 3 great holes, I guarantee you'll have at least 4 great holes. Like, just pump that positivity into your head and believe that you're so great. Because if you're not great, then how did you play those 2 holes so great? How did I play those 13 holes so great if I'm not already a great player? Sure, I had 5 bad holes. Big deal.
Yeah.
But I had 13 great holes. So I go to the Tin Cup. I played 13 holes over in my head, I'm feeling so confident going into the Tin Cup. I decided to stay in my process. I tried to hit 1 shot at a time, just do the best I possibly can. And all of a sudden I played the first hole, pretty good. Second hole, pretty good. Third hole, pretty good. Now all of a sudden thinking confidently over the ball starts to become just a habit. It's so much easier. I don't have to force it anymore because I'm playing good. Fourth hole, pretty good. Fifth hole, pretty good. Sixth hole, birdie, 1 under par. 7th hole, really hard par 4, dogleg left par 4, really hard. It's kind of sometimes my Achilles heel.
Wait, which hole? Sorry, let me think.
This is meadow. It's a dogleg left. There's water on the left. There's water on the right. There's a big tree that you have to kind of hit around. Well, from the red tees, that tree doesn't play into. But then there's a creek that's right in front of the green.
It's
tough
right
hole.
Before long the par 4.
Yeah, it's right before the par 3 that goes over the water. It's the more signature hole at Forest Highlands. But 7th hole, I just hit an iron in play. I just want to keep the ball in play. So I hit an iron in play. It's windy, 200 yards out, but I'm feeling good. Just came off a birdie. 200 yards out, pins in the back. I stripe this ball to like this close, and I birdie hole number 7. Then, of course, I'm now 2 under par. I start to feel a little bit nervous, right? I'm playing better than I was expecting to play. So I throw in a few more bogeys along the way, and I finish with a 76. But I go from an 83 to a 76. I did not play 1 round of golf in that month. I did not practice 1 time in that month. I only replayed the round in my head over and over again. And that was the only preparation I did from July 8th to August 5th. And I played so much better because why? I was anticipating that I was going to play good. And if you can control your anticipation, it's game over. But everyone is using the opposite strategy. They're going through this 83 that they don't like, or whatever score you don't like, and you're looking at the 5 holes that created it. And they're trying to find the answer to fix that. And it's the opposite formula that we should be playing with. It's not a good one because it just digs you deeper and deeper. It makes you convinced that you're broken. It makes you convinced that you're not a good golfer. And if you're convinced of that, you will be broken. You will not play good golf. But if you can find a way to convince yourself that you're great, and there's always evidence, even if it's only 1 or 2 holes, there's always evidence that you're great. And you can put your energy into that. It's a game changer.
Yeah. No, and what I was going to ask when you said that's what you were focusing on, I was going to say, okay, so you're focusing on those 13 holes. Like that's what you're thinking about. That's what you're falling asleep to. You know, you're almost manifesting those 13 holes.
Exactly.
But then are you putting in the reps on things that you could have improved on 4 or 5 holes?
Nope.
No.
That's what logically we would think. Well, you must have done something wrong on those 5 holes. What did you do wrong? What could we have improved? And I say to the students all the time, I don't care. I don't care what I did on those holes. I'm not here to learn what I do when I do poorly. I want to learn what I do when I do great. That's what I want to learn. That's the golfer I want to be. Who cares what I'm doing there? And the more focus I put into it and try to decipher what went wrong, the more that it might happen again. I'm already those 13 people. I'm already great. I had a student the other day. He's getting ready to go to Abandoned Dunes at the end of October, and he's really nervous about like playing well with his friends. I said, you're already great. This lesson isn't great. I did anything to make you great. I just basically made you swing more confidently. And once you started doing that, look at these shots. He was hitting like 40 yards further than he usually hit his drive. He's like, oh my God. All I'm doing is I'm just injecting you with a bunch of confidence. I'm just cheering you on. And if you can find the secret to be your own cheerleader, what am I doing when I'm thinking about the 13 holes? I'm my own cheerleader. I'm pumping myself up. Why do we like having caddies with us when we go to play? Because they pump us up. They're not like, oh my God, don't do what you did on those 5 holes. Just don't do that. We'd fire that caddy in 2 seconds. Like, how dare you bring up those 5 holes to me?
It's very true.
Right?
It is.
That's why we like those caddies. Caddies are usually very positive. They're just, so be your own caddy. Be the person that you want to be. Ignore those. There's some ways that we analyze rounds and we talk about like, you know, like where should we be putting a little bit more practice? But on those 5 holes that I played in the Danish Martinez, they were just mental mistakes. That's all they really were. I had some bit of doubt that popped in my head and I just made a silly mistake and silly swing that launched into the trees or whatever that turned into a triple bogey. It wasn't a swing issue. Yeah. It wasn't anything like that. I just had a moment of doubt. And how do you stop doubt? You think uber positively all the time. And it's because we've read about that. We've read mental books. They talk about thinking positive, have good self-talk. This is actually a tactical tip that you can take. And take the last round that you played and only replay the great holes that you had. Only replay the great shots that you had. Everyone can do that. And you're usually doing one of two. And most people just have an inkling to want to replay the bad. Because if we think we could get rid of the bad, we'll be better. But it's more if you can repeat the great.
Yeah.
It's such a faster way to get into better golf.
Agreed. What's next then?
I actually haven't thought about that. I have this trip that I'm hoping that I might be able to go on. It's a buddy of mine who's putting together this Scotland trip that I hope that I can, hopefully go on that trip with that buddy. But if that doesn't come up, I'm sure something will come up.
Yeah. Going back to Southern Dunes, I'm sure since this was Southwest Sector, you had a lot of people there that you knew.
Yeah.
A lot of colleagues.
Yeah.
Why do you think they were there?
You know, there's some professional like pros that play like that are in my industry that like really put a lot of importance into playing a lot of golf, right? Like they want to play in the tournament. So they're teaching,
but they're also playing a lot, or are they just playing?
They're assistant pros that work at a course, but their passions to play, their passions to compete.
That was my first instructor.
And that's,
Nick Hodge.
Oh yeah,
He would teach ACC, but he would play throughout.
Yeah. There's this love to compete and love to play. And that's why a lot of people actually get into the PGA sometimes is so that they can compete against it. And there's some really good players out there. I mean, some really good players. I got to play with one of them. One of them just so happens to be up in Forest Highlands and I got to go play with him. He's actually the founder of Stack. Marty Jertson.
Oh, yes.
Yep. I just invited him to go play and he's a member of Forest Highlands. And I just wanted to watch him play because like he's like really good.
Yeah.
Like he's played in a lot of PGA championships. He's played in US Opens. Like he's just really good. And just to watch him play, he's just really, really good at the details. Like he's just like, he's got a process to hit his shot. A lot of what I was talking about before, like having a process to go through and try to hit this shot, but it's like.
And even in his casual rounds.
Yeah. He's in the game, he just doesn't make as many mistakes. He's got a good short game. He's a good player. But you know what's so funny too? And if Marty, you're listening, I think it's good for everyone to hear this anyways. I saw him make some similar mistakes that I make too.
Yeah.
Like he didn't hit the greatest chip on one of his chips. Like he didn't chip it like super close. Yeah. See, we think like these great players are just like these highlight reels all the time.
No.
You know what I mean?
Far from it.
Far from it. I mean, look at Scotty the other day. Scotty was talking about like I loved his answer to it too. He shanked a bunker shot. Did you see that?
No.
So Scotty shanks a bunker shot, goes 45 degrees in the wrong direction, right? and his answer to this question was so amazing. He's like, "Hey," it was so funny how he asked it too. He said, "Why did you shank the bunker shot?" And at first, when I heard it, I'm like, was that his strategy? Like, why did you choose to shank the
This shot calls for a shank.
Like, what was the thinking behind shanking that? Like, he did it on purpose, right? But that wasn't his question. He was more asking, how did he shank it?
Yeah.
Like, and he wanted to get like a sophisticated answer. Like, oh, my weight got too much on my toes. I moved my head too far forward. Yeah. I think that's the answer the media person was looking for.
Yeah.
But his answer was perfect. And this is what I tell students all the time too. He said, here's the club. I was trying to hit it here, but then there's this flange that goes into the club and that's called the hosel. And instead of hitting it there, which would have gone towards my target, I hit it here and it went that way. That's how I hit the shank. It was the perfect answer, right?
Oh my God, I gotta look that up online.
It's
like,
awesome.
How was that not viral?
Oh, it is. That's why I'm surprised you haven't seen it. It's on Instagram for sure. But it's just like, yeah, I meant to hit it here. And I accidentally hit it here. That's how I hit it. I didn't mean to hit it there.
God.
I didn't want to hit it there, but that's what happened. And that's what I tell a lot of people too. It's like, sometimes you just missed the middle of the face.
Yeah.
That's all that really happened. You didn't make a weird golf swing. You didn't go you didn't have a bad problem or anything like that. You just missed it. And if you think about it, golf, it's like some version of tennis where we have a racket that we're trying to hit a ball. Just in this sport, the racket's much smaller and the ball's much smaller.
Yeah.
So it just gives to inconsistencies, right? Inconsistencies, it's just going to happen.
Well, and I didn't see the highlight as far as when he hit that bunker shot, but I can imagine he hit the shank out of the bunker, which is extremely jarring, and he had probably less than like a 0 reaction.
Yeah. And that's more important than anything. More important than anything. I've been telling a lot of my amateur golfers this a lot. The difference between a great golfer and an average golfer is how they react to good shots and bad shots. And here's the difference. Great player hits a great shot. It ends up like right where they wanted to hit it. And they inwardly say to themselves, this sounds arrogant, but this is really what they're saying. Like, that's how good I am. I hit shots like that.
Yeah.
And then when they hit a shot like the shank out of the bunker, what they say to themselves is, oh, I got unlucky.
Yeah.
It was just unlucky. So it gives very little of attention to it. I just got unlucky, right? Let's now talk to the average golfer. Average golfer hits a horrible shot, hits a shank like that, tops it, chunks it, whatever, and has this inward talk like, oh, I do that all the time. I'm always doing that. I'm so bad.
Yeah.
They have that inward talk. And here's the sad part. When they eventually hit an amazing one, and they all do. Yeah. They say, I got lucky.
Yes. Or wait, how about when they say every blind squirrel finds a nut or whatever that saying is?
Yeah. It's just another version of just saying I got lucky, right? It's like you're just tearing yourself down every single day in hopes that one day you'll be great. Oh yeah, and then oh man, I hate to go into another story.
So, okay,
but you control it. You control it.
No, I'm controlling it. Go into the story.
Okay, because I don't think I've told this story on the podcast before. So hopefully some of your listeners know that I'm also in a competitive barbershop quartet.
Yes.
Okay.
And can we get a video of that too?
Absolutely. Okay, let's get a video we'll share it to the listeners and everything like that. But I'm in a competitive barbershop quartet. We go to one of the biggest contests that we wanted to go for. It's all of Southwestern United States. Yeah. I was actually here in Gilbert, but we sing the first night and we crush it. We kill it just by audience. We don't know the scores, but by audience like reaction, we're the favorites to win.
So wait, you never find out your score?
Not until the end.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's anticipation.
You don't know where you stand until and it's a 2-night contest. So you sing night 1, you sing night 2, and then you find out who wins. But you don't know where you stand going into night 2.
Okay.
So we're going into the warm-up room and we're singing this song. And there's this big slide up that I have in one of our soft ballads. And it's a powerful moment that I have to slide up and have a moment. And
wait, what does a slide up mean?
Like a slide up a little bit, right? So I'm sliding up to this really high note. And when I did it in practice, and I've done it a couple of times, my voice cracked. And I'm like, oh shit, we're on the verge. We're coming into 18. We got the lead by 2. Like, I don't want to shank it into the woods.
Yes.
It's basically what I'm thinking in my head, right? I'm getting really nervous. And then all of a sudden, I look up on the wall and there's this sign on the wall. And it says, what if I fall? And then it's another person saying, but darling, what if you fly? So here I am thinking about this moment in this song, like, what if I fall? And it brings me to being a parent of my 3-year-old daughter. And it made me think about, let's say one time she's on a playground and she's about to jump from one like rock to the next. And she's afraid to jump because she's so afraid that she's going to fall. I'm going to be that person, but darling, what if you fly? Like, what if you make it, right? I'm not going to say to my 3-year-old, yeah, we shouldn't go for it. Let's reel it in. Let's not try for it, right?
Let's go back to the slide.
Yeah, we would never talk to a child that way. We're always uplifting to our children, right? We're always uplifting to the people we play golf with. We're uplifting to the people that like we're around, but we're never that way to ourselves, right? Like, why aren't we that way to ourselves? Why can't we be our personal own caddy, right? Like, yeah, I could think about falling. I could think about cracking and thinking that's going to lose the contest. But then I'm like, what if I fly? Like, what if it was amazing? And it like thought, like, I was like, oh my God, this could be a moment where I actually thrive, right? We go into the contest, I nail it, I don't crack at all, we win the contest, and the rest is history. But it was such an amazing moment where I was really like mentally breaking down for a moment in the warm-up room before we go out on stage. And this quote just came to me at a perfect moment, and it did remind me, how would I want to talk to my daughter? How would I want my daughter to think about when they're about to take a risk? What if it works out though? What if it's good? Yeah. Why don't we ever think that? We're always thinking, well, what if it's bad? Like, what if it's good? Like, well, why not take a shot at it? Why not play in a tournament that I haven't played in 15 years? What if it's good? I won't know unless I go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. What if it's something that you absolutely love to do?
Right.
And it opens up new doors.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
Well, we'll end with this. How is it being a father of two?
Exhausting at times.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much credit I have to give my wife, because it's like, you really don't realize, like everyone says, like stay at home mom, because I'm lucky my wife's a stay at home mom. People say it all the time. Oh, it's the hardest job in the world, but it's like almost a cliche.
Yeah.
When I was home for paternity leave, holy moly, how hard this is. It's a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
And my wife rocks it. She
Yeah.
is a kick-ass mom. She's so good. And balancing two very difficult ages, 3 years old, toddler who wants to do whatever the heck she wants to do at any time that she wants to.
Yep.
And then daughter who's 4 months old right now, who is waking up 2 or 3 times throughout the night, you know, and needs to get fed, you know, and then the next day the toddler's coming in and waking you up at 5 a.m, right?
Yeah.
So
when
it's
you
like
just went back to sleep at 4.
Exactly right. It redefines what a hard job is, because it is unbelievable.
Does she have something to go do outside the house?
Luckily, she's a singer. Luckily, we have great mom support. So we have
Yes.
really great moms that come and babysit all the time. So like last night, she was at a rehearsal until almost midnight last night. And I was hanging out with a buddy. Like, we have a very privileged parenthood because of just great grandmas that are there to
That's the
support
best.
us. So we're very lucky in that matter, that we can kind of escape a little bit and have a little bit of our life. But my wife's way more in the thick of it than I am. It's almost lucky that I do have a job that I get to go to, right?
Yeah.
And then come back home to it, right? Where she's in it all the time. It's hard. It's very hard.
When I was a stay-at-home mom, it was actually golf that I would take Lucy, my firstborn. My mother-in-law would watch her for an hour, maybe 2, and I would go to the range and just bang balls. That's how it all started.
And that's how you got your start in golf.
And now look at us. Now look at us.
Look at us now.
Well, Justin, felt like you haven't been gone at all now that you're back. So I appreciate you being here and teaching the audience. No one does it like you. I'm excited to announce that Justin's going to be at Desert Classic both weeks this year.
Yes, I'm so excited to see the ladies at Desert Classic.
Yeah, so he'll be doing clinics on Mondays both weeks and going to be the best.
Yeah.
So I can't wait.
I'm so excited.
All right,
Thank you, Tori.
until next time. Thanks, Justin.